Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating narrative straight from the ancient texts. We're looking at a story that perfectly balances moments of raw, brute strength with magical artifacts, all wrapped up in some incredibly brilliant ancient geopolitical strategy. Ultimately, it's a masterclass in how winning a physical battle is completely useless if you don't know how to win the peace that follows. We're going to trace the action and consequence arc of a pivotal assassination and explore exactly how the fallout from it reshaped an entire continent. Let's get right into it. Okay, so we are jumping right into the visceral climax of a legendary battle here. The text says, Bhima pressed his knee against Jarasandha's backbone and broke his body in twain. You see, Krishna recognized that the powerful Jarasandha still had plenty of fight left in him, so he urged Bhima to tap into the divine strength he inherited from his father, the wind god Maruta, to end the battle right then and there. What we're witnessing here isn't just a heavy-hitting fight, it's the literal execution of a major regional power. But hold on, before we move past that final bone-snapping moment, we really have to appreciate the sheer superhero-level strength on display. 100. That's the exact number of times Bhima whirled Jarasandha high up in the air before breaking him. I mean, can you even imagine the terrifying spectacle of that? Holding up this massive, incredibly powerful king and spinning him a full 100 times? It's a display of dominance that's designed not just to defeat an opponent, but to utterly break his spirit and demonstrate unquestionable superiority before the killing blow is even struck. That brings us to Section 1, the fall of Jarasandha. So we've seen the physical act of the assassination, right? But what happens the very second after a titan like this falls? Well, upon killing his foe, Bhima lets out this terrible roar that completely mingles with the death knell of Jarasandha being broken on his knee. And this wasn't just a loud shout. It caused a massive uproar that literally struck fear into the heart of every single creature around. The citizens of Magadha were struck dumb with terror. The fright was so intense, it actually caused premature deliveries among the women in the city. To the people hearing it, the text says it sounded as if the mighty Himalayas were tumbling down or as if the earth itself was being rent asunder. It's a catastrophic, world-shaking sound that just perfectly punctuates the end of Jarasandha's reign. Moving right along to Section 2, the celestial chariot. After leaving the lifeless body of the king at the palace gates like he was just taking a nap, our heroes, Krishna, Bhima, and Arjuna, need an exit strategy. And the spoils of this war provide them with the ultimate upgrade. They commandeer Jarasandha's own vehicle, which is a celestial chariot. This thing is a completely invincible war vehicle. It's decked out with heated gold and rows of jingling bells, and it possesses the literal speed of the wind. It even features a flagstaff with the splendor of a rainbow that can be seen from a yojana away, which is a massive distance. But what's really fascinating here is the auditory experience the text describes. The chariot is furnished with wheels whose clatter sounds exactly like the deep roar of storm clouds. Just imagine that for a second, seeing a rainbow approaching you at the speed of the wind, accompanied by the deafening sound of thunder. Insane, right? And look, this isn't just some fancy ride. This is the exact same legendary car upon which the god Indra once slaughtered 99 asuras in ancient battles. It's a vehicle with a proven, historical track record of divine-level destruction, and it always slaughters the foes against whom it's driven. This artifact carries a really fascinating lineage of extreme power. First, it was obtained by King Vasu from Vasava. Then, it went from Vasu over to Vrihadratha. From him, it passed in due course down to King Jarasandha. And now, the long-armed Krishna has claimed it. The flow of ownership here acts as this amazing physical representation of supreme regional power being transferred directly into Krishna's hands. But of course, Krishna doesn't just take the chariot as is. He makes quite the addition to the flagstaff. As they're leaving, Krishna merely thinks of Garuda, the divine eagle. And instantly, in no time at all, Garuda arrives. The text describes him as having an immense weight of body, living upon snakes, and being as massive as a vast tree that's worshipped by an entire village. So yeah, not exactly your standard hood ornament. When Garuda lands on the flagstaff right alongside numberless, open-mouthed, frightfully roaring creatures that are already on it, the chariot becomes completely dazzling. It radiates such splendor that no created being can even look directly at it. It's literally like trying to stare at the midday sun surrounded by 1,000 rays.
Which brings us to Section 3, freeing the captive kings.
Because while the magical artifacts and blinding chariots are incredible, we absolutely have to remember the human element here. This was a rescue operation. Before heading out, Krishna takes Bhima and Arjuna to release Jarasandha's imprisoned relatives and rival kings. These royals had been languishing in the terrible hill fort of Raja, sunk deep in the mire of sorrow. By defeating Jarasandha, our heroes have traded the dark, terrible fate of these captives for total freedom. Once they're all safely outside the town on a level plain, the citizens and the newly freed kings gather to worship Krishna. And the gratitude of these rescued monarchs is just absolute. They offer up precious jewels and gems, and they make a profound pledge. They say, "O command us what we shall do. However difficult of accomplishment, thy command being known to us, it will at once be accomplished by us." They are basically offering Krishna their unconditional immediate loyalty. Now for Section 4, a diplomatic masterstroke. So this right here is where brute force is converted into tremendous political capital. Under the old regime, Jarasandha ruthlessly imprisoned rival kings in a terrifying hill fort. But look closely at how Krishna handles the succession under the new regime. Does he wipe out Jarasandha's bloodline? Not at all. Jarasandha's son, the high soul Sahadeva, approaches Krishna in fear, making large presents of jewels. Krishna gives him every assurance, completely dispels his fear, and joyfully installs the prince right then and there into the sovereignty of Magadha. Sahadeva is treated with total respect and kindness, returning to his father's city as a friend. This is brilliant because it illustrates Krishna's strategy perfectly. You neutralize the immediate threat, sure, but then you build a powerful, loyal alliance instead of breeding generational resentment. It's a timeless lesson in geopolitics, really. The brawl, the rescue, the diplomatic maneuvering, none of it was just random. It was a highly targeted operation designed to support the grand geopolitical ambitions of King Yudhishthira, ultimately culminating in the Rajasuya sacrifice. Remember that blank check of loyalty the freed kings offered? Well, Krishna cashes that political capital in immediately. He issues a clear directive to them. Yudhishthira is desirous of performing the sacrifice of Rajasuya. That monarch, ever guided by virtue, is solicitous of acquiring the imperial dignity. Having known this from me, assist him in his endeavors. Krishna is essentially telling them, hey, you owe me your lives? Great. Pay that debt by supporting Yudhishthira's bid for total imperial dignity. And you know what? All the monarchs with completely joyous hearts agree instantly. And finally, Section 5, Return to Indraprastha. So with the mission accomplished, the main threat neutralized, and massive new alliances secured, we follow the heroes as they make their victorious return home, heavily laden with jewels. The logistical wrap-up of this operation really showcases the peaceful order that follows the chaotic opening battle. First, Krishna arrives at Indraprastha and formally reports the death of Jarasandha and the freeing of the kings to Yudhishthira, making sure to confirm everyone is well and unwounded. With that confirmed, Yudhishthira gives himself up to celebration. He entertains his new allies and then properly dismisses them to return to their respective realms. Finally, the mastermind himself, Krishna, takes his leave. Walking around Yudhishthira in a sign of respect, he hops onto his blinding new celestial chariot and speeds off towards Dwarka, filling the horizon with the deep rattle of its cloud-like wheels. With all the dust finally settled, the new status quo is perfectly balanced. Because of this great victory and the dispelling of the king's fears, the fame of the Pandavas just absolutely swells. They pass their days in happiness, and King Yudhishthira perfectly executes his duties of protecting his subjects, ruling in a way that is entirely consistent with virtue, pleasure, and profit. Honestly, this is the ultimate takeaway here. A true, lasting empire is built not just on the blood of your enemies, but on the gratitude of your rescued allies. It is the picture of a stable, deeply respected, and rapidly expanding power base. But that really leads us to our final thought for today. With rival kings neutralized, powerful new alliances forged across the continent, and the ultimate celestial chariot claimed as a prize, what grand challenges will this newly expanding empire track next? I mean, when you announce your imperial dignity to the world this loudly, the world tends to answer back. It's a fascinating cliffhanger that leaves us pondering the massive future ripples of this incredibly successful diplomatic victory. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.